Welcome back to the Winded Podcast. I'm your host, Seamus Sullivan. And if you are not subscribed on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you're doing that. Instagram at Winded Pod. But enough about that. My guest today is having a great week. Some very exciting news. I was already excited to talk to him. I'm even more excited now because we got a little bit more juice to squeeze out of this one. My guest today is Scott Atwood. Scott, how you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am great. I'm great. Super excited. Was on Instagram yesterday, and as you know, anyone who follows you, there's many that do, and many famous people. You have quite the following, and we'll get into that. But anybody who follows you on Instagram saw that you had some very exciting news this week. Why don't you tell people what happened this week?
I did. Myself and formerly my girlfriend, now my fiance, have been on a road trip for over a week now, and just have been enjoying getting out of the winter a bit. And I proposed a couple days ago, so that was very, very exciting, and it was beautiful. Our photographer crushed it and got us pictures yesterday within 24 hours. She was literally the best. Very happy that found her, but everything worked perfect, and we're very excited and very happy. So
Congratulations to you and Morgan. Very exciting stuff. And shout out to your photographer. I mean, amazing pictures. If you have if you haven't seen them yet, they're incredible work. I mean,
Shannon
I
Braswell, she knocked it out of the park. I will give her all of the referrals. Anyone who's in the Destin 30A area of Florida, she is phenomenal. She deserves to be a rising star. She crushed it.
some of the best engagement pictures I've ever seen. So congrats on that. But how was kind of your mood kind of building up to it? Obviously, you've been on this road trip and you've had that ring with you. Obviously, got to keep that a secret. And then just I mean, I'm married myself. I've been married 4 years and got engaged in 2019. And I just remember really kind of blacking out in the moments before. But what was it like, kind of the buildup for that? Because it's a very, I mean, it's you know, you're
Yeah,
only going to do it once, and it's the biggest moment of your life to that point.
Yeah, it's very stressful. Like driving down, we stopped in hotel areas and the Duke area and the Auburn area, and whatnot. And every single time I'm like, oh, I'm gonna bring in my bag, and just it was hidden in a secret pocket, but it's very stressful. You're like, it's right next to you. Don't open that pocket of the bag, please. It's not anywhere that she'd ever go looking, anyways. But regardless, I'm like, keep it right there. But yeah, it's stressful driving with it. I was doing some laps of the pool uh, the day of, and she was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, just texting my marketing clients and whatnot." Kind of playing it off. But yeah, you naturally, will start to pace a little bit, and everything picks up, and you're overthinking every little thing. What if this happens? What if that happens? But it all worked perfectly. So
It's funny because I would say 99% of people, when they're at that point where they're going to propose, they are certain they're going to get a yes, but it still induces that crazy anxiety and stress and everything that goes into it. So I can totally relate to
yeah,
that.
it wasn't even like the yes or no. Like her parents were all on board and supportive, and had her mom helped guide outfits and whatnot without saying it. But it's still stressful because it's not the yes or no, it's everything around it, where it's like, is her hair right, are her nails right,
Yeah.
did a nail break, am I going to be in trouble for this, for that, just really small details you don't really think about beforehand, and then it gets to it and you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but ready for the actual thing, but it's stressful in the moment.
Did she have any idea?
No, no clue. It works perfect. I had planned for a while, and luckily, a lot of people kept their mouths quiet. More people than I would like to have known knew that it was coming. So it's like when you have 10, 20 people that all know it, it's hard to keep a secret.
For sure, for sure. I will say I thought that my wife had no idea, and I found out probably a couple years into our marriage that she knew the whole time. So don't be surprised if down the road, when she feels a little more comfortable about it, she's like, "Oh, I knew the whole time."
But
But
there
maybe this.
there were a couple things where, like, I was at a jeweler one day and accidentally had my location on still. So I was sitting in the jeweler and didn't tell her, but she's not going to go calling me out being like, where were you? But she saw it because she was bored at work one day and just scrolling around, and I was like, oh, I don't know, just getting an oil change, kind of just play it off. She doesn't want to know the secret anyways. So
There you
uh,
go. It's, and kind of back to what we were talking about before we started recording, and, you have a great story of how you met, and it really opened up the topic of, I don't get why the younger generation are so afraid to kind of meet people. You said that you actually met your now fiancé out and about, not on a dating app, not through an introduction of somebody else, the true old-fashioned way, and I feel like people don't get that that is still very possible and is out there, and people are afraid to do that.
Yeah, 100%. I think some of my best advice to people in the dating world and the work world, whatever it is just to put yourself out there. Like, truthfully, my content, I have no goals for it. I have no next steps for it, but I do it for fun. And I think if you don't put yourself out there, you're never gonna reap the rewards. And if it's fun to you, then, you know, at some point I'm like, who cares? If if she had rejected me, sure, I would have been upset, but, like, at the end of the day, I would have gone home and put my head on the pillow and been like, "All right, tomorrow's another day, and, never will see that girl again." Luckily, it worked out well, and I did not want that, but it it just goes to show, if you put yourself out there and you continuously just show up every day, if you're nice to people, like, I think people really reciprocate the goodwill and whatnot and just being nice, and I think, I always tell people just put yourself out there. Just do it, make the move, post the content. Just even if no one likes your content, just post it because at the end of the day, you never know what's going to be the one that does pop off, and it it's motivational to everyone because I think everyone is always so worried about like what other people think and how someone's going to perceive something and what if something goes wrong versus looking at the bright side of what if I make this move and it goes right.
Exactly, yeah, the fear of rejection or failure scares so many people, and if you do fail or get rejected or whatever it is, it just is you were on the wrong path or you're doing the wrong thing, but it teaches you, "Alright, let's get back out there and try something
Exactly.
again." It's never as bad as you think it is. You mentioned you're in marketing. It's so funny. You've been a supporter of the Window Podcast and me, and we've gotten to know each other over the last couple months through DMs and stuff. And I really have no idea what you do. And I am very, intrigued. And, you kind of gave me a rundown the other day because you saw I was looking at your LinkedIn and you're like, that's not really going to give you an idea of what I do. So why don't you go into kind of what you do? I know you're in marketing now, but kind of what's your day to day like?
Yeah, so way back in the day, I started some brands and small businesses, and some of my brands really took off. And I learned a lot about ads through that. I learned a lot about content that just generates views, content that gets people to purchase and whatnot, and learned a lot about direct to consumer, a lot about e-commerce, and what goes into cash flow and cash considerations and inventory and all that fun stuff. And had a job in marketing a couple years ago. Didn't love it and was salaried, had no equity or anything. And I think my power is that I know, small business marketing. I like to think better than anyone else, and I'm really, really good at it. So I actually left my job. A little while back and had no plan. And I actually just tweeted saying, "Hey, I'm a free agent, open to discussing with anyone, whether it be part time, full time, whatever it is." And I actually met this guy who owns a baseball brand. He had done maybe 50,000, 100,000 in revenue. It's called Slide MVP, fantastic business. It's baseball sliding mats. And I met him. We had talked a little bit. He didn't really know the direct consumer marketing side of things. He just had a really good product market fit. So I kept talking with him for a while, ended up getting on retainer with him, started with a small retainer and kind of built the relationship. And we just kept selling out nonstop. And since I've met him, we're going on 5 million now in revenue, just for that business. And it literally was a brand new business, and it's just the two of us. He packs orders with his family, but started finding some other small clients, working on some projects on a project basis, and just really enjoy taking a business like that and saying, "Hey, can I get you from 0 to 5 million, 0 to 10 million, 20, whatever it might be?" And I'm really good at that, kind of small to medium business range and the marketing that goes into that. So I enjoyed a lot. It has helped me a lot because I in my space, an agency would usually do the work that I'm doing, but, you know, an agency for what I'm doing would charge my clients $25,000 a month minimum. So I offer a more affordable version, but that being said, honestly, a more talented, and educated, person for that, business owner because I've done it before. I've seen it. I don't mind risking other people's money on ads and understand the metrics really well behind it and what's going on. So I enjoy it a lot and it's served me well, but it's pretty crazy. And right now I'm just doing the contractor marketing thing with some clients and it's fantastic. So I don't see myself changing anytime soon, but we'll see. I've talked about doing a couple other things pretty soon.
It's incredible because it's, for the slide MVP, for example, it's that somebody who has a great product, but it's just not getting the reach that it needs. And just the simple act of kind of finding the right person to kind of work with opened up so many doors for them and for you working with them. And, that kind of goes to what you pride yourself on as well as a networker and, getting connected to the right people. And it's, the famous saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And, opening up the door to somebody else and inviting somebody in to work with you obviously led to so much success. How have
Exactly.
you kind of mastered that? I put on the graphic for the episode that you're a master networker. What kind of has gone into your process when it comes to networking?
Yeah, I think I went to Babson, which entrepreneurial business school and like huge school on networking, and just from there, learned a lot. But I think a kind of secret that I've learned is really when you're going to network with someone, a couple different things. So let's say, for example, I have like one person who I eventually want to reach or get to. Let's say it's Tiger Woods. I'm probably not going to be able to network with Tiger Woods, but whatever. First of all, I'll look at that person and say, who do they surround themselves with? Who do they know and whatnot? And start to, just meet, follow whatever the network of that individual. Because I'm like, okay, if my ultimate goal is to, work on a project with TaylorMade, like who works at TaylorMade or who is partnered with TaylorMade or whatever that I can get in the door with. And I would say the second thing is honestly, I never will pitch someone on something. I never sell someone on anything. I never have any ulterior motives. I would never go into a conversation with someone and say, "Hey, hire me for this. I can do this for you." It's more of a person to person basis. And I think a lot of people who already have, a following or a business that does well or anything like that don't really want someone to come in and say, hey, I can do XYZ for you. Like they don't really care. They've got resources, they've got money, whatever. They just want like genuine friendship and they want, people who actually care and they want nice people. So honestly, it's really just being nice to people, providing value. Even with my content too, like I mentioned, I had no goals with it. But when I was in the direct consumer space as a full time job, I really saw how much some creators can leverage it for their personal brand or for the businesses that they work with and whatnot. So I saw a huge opportunity there to both be the content and distribute the content. And just for me, like it's great resume experience because people look at it and say, all right, he's well connected, he's done it before with business. He can make and be the content and distribute it and do all of our marketing and financials too. My actual degree and experience are in finance. I just hated it. So yeah, I think just to me, pairing all those things kind of makes it truthfully invincible for me. And it's somewhat of, hey, if I can be a jack of all trades at those things, it makes me pretty valuable to like a business owner, someone I would work with, which is, you know, all I would want to if I was in their shoes.
For sure, and it's funny because you mentioned like trying to get to Tiger Woods, but it really is just getting to the people around that, or finding your way, and it's interesting. If you go to your Instagram profile, and I would say anybody who goes to your page, it's when you look at like the mutual followings, it's like I almost always there's somebody there. And I've found just as I'm slowly building this up, the credibility of like having this person follow you, this person, or just showing that you're not just like this blank profile that nobody knows you exist, nobody knows who you are, and not that your followers are your worth, but it does give you that little bit of credibility where it's like, oh, they're connected with this person, I might be more willing to listen, or there's something there.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I've got a lot of like big people in the golf space, for example, that follow me. A lot of people, let's say like the barstool content creators or whoever else that follow me. And yeah, I think it just helps a lot because then on top of that too, if I'm looking to use my following to, work on different projects with people, there's just a lot of, mutual connections where I can say, oh, let's film content with XYZ person. And there's just mutual connections there, in terms of brands. If I ever did want to, leverage my following for brand specific deals or anything like that. I feel like there's just more power when you simply just have the views and you have the connections because it's like then the ball's in my court. It's almost get work so hard that you eventually have the leverage basically, and that people want to work with you.
It's funny when you followed me, I went to your page and looked at it. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, who? Like, he's the just the following that you had even at that time, and it's grown since then. You had a very big name follow you the other day, John Gruden, which was, even for you to kind of like acknowledge, like, oh, this is like a
It
big
was a
deal.
crazy. I'm
Is
a I'm a huge Patriots fan and huge NFL fan, and like Coach Gruden was just an absolute legend, always has been. And he was in the internet invite and whatnot too. So like I've been, they Bob Does Sports and Barstool Sports absolutely crushed it with the internet invite. Like it was huge for the
incredible.
the space of golf. Whether you like it or not, it just got so many views. Really, is bringing golf more to the mainstream world. So again, I think trying to surround yourself with those people and be involved in like the big things happening is huge for me because at the end of the day, I might not get an internet invitational, invite, but like at least at the end of the day, I can maybe work with some of those people. I can maybe, make my own unique content or leverage my following for, my own podcast or brand or whatever it might be. So, um, as much as you want to follow and replicate those people, it's also, keep them close, but, do your own authentic, original thing.
That Internet Invitational, when it was announced, I think everybody was excited about it and thought it would be big. I don't think, even the biggest fan of Bob Does Sports or Barstool could have imagined that it would be as big of a deal as it was.
Yeah, and, like, for LeBron James to be making content with them now and whatnot, like, it's just huge for the sports marketing space, the YouTube space, golf as a whole, so, it's an exciting time to be in the sport, and honestly, I have no golf, formal experience or anything, I'm just a person who likes it and found a couple, content series that absolutely crushed last year, so I was like, "Why am I not doing this?" And I still think it's an underserved niche from the standpoint that there's so many new golfers, um that are just picking it up. Like my fiance picked it up last year and is now pretty good. But like, there's so many new golfers that enjoy it a lot, do it as a hobby. Some people don't follow the PGA Tour or anything, and I think a lot of people who are in the golf space think that the people who pick up golf are going to be, scratch golfers and strike the ball really well and hit it well. But that's not the reality. It's usually the weekend warriors who like, engaging with my content and who are kind of the people who really like watching and engaging with stuff.
It's funny, you know, I am like you, I'm no training at all. I've been playing for a long time, but I'm really not any good. And it's something, liking content and liking golf, and was never confident. Like I really kind of thought like, oh, for me to put something out, like it should be good. Like you should be like, an elite level golfer. And last summer I recorded I brought a tripod out and like recorded myself playing around at Norwood Country Club and like just like shot a bunch of different videos. And I was amazed at like pretty much anything golf just does better. I don't know if it's just who follows me or just how the algorithm picks it up, but like anything golf just does so much better because people love all the different aspects of it. They don't necessarily need to watch just the PGA. Like when I had Brooke Johnson on, we talked about how, there's plenty of like perfect content out there, but when people put out their flaws and their mistakes, it's relatable and there's humor in it and it's entertaining. And that's really at the end of the day what it's all about.
Yeah, me and Brooke engage with each other's content, and yeah, I do love that. I do the same thing where it's like as much as I love posting good courses and whatnot, I also like posting the bad. I also, I play only public courses for the most part. I don't have any family members or anything that golf, so it's not like I have, some country club, uh, membership that I can be in on. So I like kind of the weekend warrior stuff. I play with a lot of like my buddy Joe. Absolutely love him. He can drive the ball unlike anyone I've ever seen, but he can't find the second shot for the life of him. Like he will hammer a drive 320 yards, but like you'll never be able to find it. It'll be in a pond like, two communities over. So it's yeah, I like
For
that.
the average person, when they're out there playing and it's like whether you're a 15, 20, 25, 30 handicap, it's not, pretty when you're out there. And I think that there's a certain level of enjoyment when you're just looking for some content to watch, you kill a few minutes, it kind of puts you in that, like, you feel like you're on the course with them. It's like, okay, this is what I'm used to. And, watching the PGA or like professionals or like the elite YouTube golfers, it's like it's almost discouraging. But seeing like there's somebody else out there, it's like, oh, maybe I'm actually better at this than I thought, or maybe it's
Exactly.
it's it's okay to miss a shot here and there. Like I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, some of the pillars of content that I look at are relatable content. So, is it relatable for the person? I always look at, am I providing value to my, following followers, whatever. So when I go and do, public course reviews in New England, people absolutely love it because it's just an underserved space. There's really not many people who do it well or, who have the ability to do it. So it provides a ton of value to people. Um, and yeah, those are two of the biggest things that I look at are just relatability. And then does it provide value to people? Are they going to enjoy the watch? If I was the person on the other side of the screen, would I want to be, watching this and engaging with it?
You posted on your story this week, the a clock at whatever golf course you were at,
Yeah.
and you kinda use that as, like, a little, like, check in their favor, like, "Okay, this is gonna be a good day." What are some other little subtle things? I joked, like, obviously, if it has yacht club or regatta in the name of the course, like, obviously, it's gonna be a good course, but what are some other kinda little secrets that, like, you pull up to a course that you've never been to and you kinda see something, you're like, "Alright, this is gonna be," I know that I'm in for a good 18 holes ahead of me.
I think what's really cool, a lot of people who call themselves like golf sickos always joke about these things, but rock walls always a good thing, like a really good rock wall. A lot of the courses in Scotland and whatnot have the old rock walls, and you're like, oh, that's an original, authentic feature. Good bridges are always a fantastic one. A little bit different, but I love a good like halfway house or a good refreshment house. I now play with my fiance frequently, so truthfully, bathrooms are always an issue for ladies. So like being able to have bathrooms nearby is always nice. Shout out Shaker Hills. I'll give them some free press, but they have a drive-through like refreshment station with drinks and whatnot, so you can drive your cart through. And I think that alone, helps so much because during your round, you're like, I know it seems simple, but like down here in Florida, it's 10 UV, like you need water. And on top of that, even I'll be like, oh, I want a drink. You have one drink and you're like, now I need water because, I feel dehydrated. So it goes a long way to have those things. And, I personally I'm a little bit of a snob. I like being able to go up and like have the free range balls, be able to warm up, be able to enjoy the day. I love good food, like a uh, good clubhouse restaurant is fantastic. That place Regatta Bay that you were mentioning had the best breakfast sandwich ever, and I'm like, that's what a great way to start around.
Yeah, a breakfast sandwich is key, I think. Like, obviously, bare minimum hot dog, like, regular kind of food that you'd expect, but any place that has breakfast at the course, plenty of people with the early morning tea time, they're running late. The
Exactly.
last thing you wanna do is be late to a tea time, so you wanna get to the course, but if you can get there and they have everything that you need there, there's nothing better.
Exactly, especially your weekend warrior, like, they wanna sleep in a little, it's like a Saturday and their buddy has a 10 AM tea time, maybe they, had a couple drinks out the night before, so, like, they're tiniest bit foggy, and they're like, "Yeah, I need a good breakfast sandwich to really get this day going."
What would disappoint you more, uh, on a golf course? You get there day of, and you find out either it's cart path only or they don't have hot dogs.
I'd say hot dogs. So, like, food's important because the issue is sometimes, like you mentioned, you go to a place, you don't have food kinda prepped out. 5 hours or whatever is a really long time with no food, especially if, you're not having your best day. So I think, hot dog and food is most important. Cart path only, like I'm going to a really cool course actually next week. And most of the year they're walking only. And I'm like, I don't know, that adds a little bit to the authenticity of the whole experience.
I feel like I play better when I walk. I don't know if I'm more engaged or it's just
You loosen up, like, I don't know.
the timing is a little bit differently. Like you walk up and you're kind of I feel like when you get in the cart, it's like you almost like your brain turns off to golf while you drive to the next one. But when you're walking to the ball, you're kind of eyeing it out the whole way.
Exactly. You're
Um,
you're engaged in like the rounds versus in the cart. I get in and I look at my phone first thing, Like you get in, you look
exactly.
at your phone, you're sitting there for a minute, you're waiting for the group in front of you. Like you get out of that rhythm and, out of that kind of athletic, like uh just rhythm.
There's I mean, what if I'm playing with 4 people and I'm in a cart, I'm almost always the passenger princess. I hate driving the golf cart. There's times where I get in and they're like, "Where's your ball?" And I'm like, "I don't even know." But when you're walking, you hit the ball and you walk straight to it.
Exactly.
I lose a dozen balls every round because it's not even because I hit them into a bad spot. It's like I just don't follow. I don't track it well. I don't follow where it goes. So yeah, I think that walking is an underrated part of golf. Um,
100%. I think most golfers are in the same boat as you. Again, I think a lot of people like, I would say like the vast majority of people like their post work nines. They like, walking with a push cart. They enjoy just like going out with buddies and doing like a 9 hole, post work tournament or league or whatever. Like a lot of people bucket into that world I've just seen from, the golf community.
for sure, for sure. He'd be a little upset if we didn't bring him up. Our friend who kind of is the reason why we know each other in the first place. So we have to give a shout out to Jeremy Binding.
Legend.
Hopefully, he listened this far in. But give me a Jeremy Binding story.
I don't That's a good one. I played hockey with Jeremy when I was growing up. Jeremy was very, very fast as a skater, I do remember, so, he'll love the compliment, but he was always a very fast, nimble skater, but I don't know, I can't think of any specific stories, but, like,
That's enough. I
our
mean, that's more than he deserves. I think that's enough of a compliment
exactly.
right there.
And no,
Eh,
our like siblings and whatnot would always be, the ones to like be playing out in the bleachers and whatnot, and watching hockey games. Feel bad for my sisters. They had to go through years of like 6 a.m. Saturdays, like being in a hockey rink, probably with like chewed gum under the bleachers. So
Yeah, the sisters of hockey players. I have a younger sister who spent more time in a hockey rink than anybody who didn't play hockey. It's just unappreciated kind of aspect that I'm like, damn, I would have hated spending that much time in a cold place that you have no interest in. And so shout out to the siblings of hockey players.
yeah, no, I can't imagine, especially like just miserable New England mornings, like waking up with feet of snow in the winter, and you're like, last thing I want to do is get up and go sit in a hockey rink for 2 hours. But yeah, shout out to those
Yeah,
families.
three me and two younger brothers played hockey, so it was like her entire
Oh,
childhood was in a hockey rink. So
uh,
appreciate her for that.
probably grew up tough.
Oh, yeah. Never between that and, being put in the goal in street hockey, I mean, she's tougher than all of us combined.
Perfect.
So, back to your content, you really have, talked about how you don't have any long-term goals with it and it's really just for fun. Do you have anything kind of planned out different wise? Or are you just going to kind of keep, putting out the golf stuff, the reviews, things like that?
Yeah, I think to me it's I'm looking at it as a long-term play and just building, my personal brand, and again, like kind of tying it in with my marketing experience. But last year was really my first year of like actually posting things with any consistency and posting any golf content. Found some series that work really well, and I think this year is about, kind of doubling down on that and really again focusing on just building really good content, finding a bunch of really, viral videos, finding videos that provide value to people, doing it across the country, doing a bunch of, course reviews, and I have a bunch in Florida coming out pretty soon, but going to Myrtle Beach in a couple weeks, going to a lot of different places, and talking to some different courses and resorts too about doing that as well. And then also hopefully hiring a videographer a couple times this year and whatnot, and just leveling up content. And I think there will really be no end goal of that other than again leveling up following, leveling up content, providing value, doing all those things. And I think anything else that comes from it will kind of naturally flow in. So I'm less worried about kind of the end game and more worried about like just doing what I love, building the content, building network. I think it will help me just in my career anyways. So it's not like it, drains a lot of resources from me. And I find it fun. So I think, when you look at the creators who do things best, they don't really think about it in terms of, having to do certain things and whatnot. Sure, they want to, achieve a certain amount of views, but they build things because they love them and it just comes naturally to them. Like everyone loves to compare themselves to Bob Does Sports, for example, but something that they do so well is they're just themselves. Like when it comes down to it, and it doesn't seem like they have, crazy money motives. Obviously, you're gonna, sign brand deals and whatnot and work with certain brands, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't all be about money. And if it is, like, it's probably not going to work out great. But no, I think in general, hopefully build a following. Potentially, I'm talking to someone who I actually went to high school with, who's a really good golfer, member at a nice course in New England. He brought up the idea of starting a golf podcast between the two of us, specific to golf. I still think that golf is just such an underserved niche, and with so many people coming into it, it's either really, really crappy content, to be honest, that just like is almost unwatchable, or the polar opposite spectrum where it's like Bryson DeChambeau with like a videographer, or,
Mhm.
something that's really highbrow, that's well edited. And even, with the Bob Does Sports and foreplays of the world and whatever, moving to kind of that like highly edited content, like there's not a lot of just real authentic, on course content from like a real person from an iPhone that's not garbage, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean the lane that they built, they've kind of shifted out of it, which kind of
Exactly.
leave that vacant. I
Exactly.
that totally makes sense, and that's there's a reason why they blew up the way they did is because there was that kind of you know just realness to it that like didn't feel as corporate or manufactured.
Exactly.
That's definitely there's always going to be a need for that. I think people in this age of social media and YouTube and everything, there's something to be said about that kind of like underproduced kind of like not thrown together, but like it seems a little bit more than just like, oh, this looks like something that would run on NBC.
Yeah, and it's like high quality iPhone cap cut, like those types of things, but not, pixelated like crap, like something that
Exactly.
people can actually watch, but they're like, "Oh, this looks like something I would potentially be able to film almost." And yeah, I think at the end of the day too, if my content amounted to nothing and it was just sheerly, some followers and I never made a buck, I've made some money from it, but that's not really the goal, then I'd be fine because I really don't care, like I mentioned, about the embarrassment and whatnot. I think half of the battle is just simply getting over the embarrassment of like having a video or a post that gets zero comments and like, however many likes. At the end of the day, that's part of the battle, and if you can get over that, then you're through 90% of the battle. I like to think, just from that, and then you learn so much from yourself too, and become so much more introspective. Like when you're making the content, you say, "Would I like to actually watch this? Would I engage with this? Like, would I think it's funny?" Um, so
And
that's
that's all that matters. And if you had fun doing it, then really it doesn't matter if a
exactly. I'm going to
single
the
person.
courses. I'm going to the courses anyways. Like I'm playing golf that day anyways. So like if it brings me a little value and I have a little fun with it too, then
I did want to touch on one other or one more thing before we kind of wrap up, and it's something we talked about. A couple weeks ago, we were going back and forth, and you know, it's a safe space. We gave the credit to the wives and fiance and everything in the beginning, but the going to a store and being kind of stuck there on in the corner on your phone, it's something that every guy can relate to. And I wanted to pitch an idea to you of a third. I think that stores like Anthropology or pretty much any store on Newbury Street, they need to hire like on the weekends and holidays and stuff. They need to hire like a third party, almost like a food truck, but like a bar kind of pop up that they
I
put
love.
in the corner, and it's like I call it like I think I called it husband daycare, and it's like you just put them over there, and the guy's entertained and happy. the women can do whatever they want for the time, and I think that
During football season, there's a
oh, yeah,
game on. There's beer on tap. Yep.
and you're right there, so it's like you're not, you're not staying home and letting her, having her go out and do stuff by herself. You're still right there, but it's everybody's needs are met in that moment.
I love it. I usually, I have to give her credit. Morgan usually doesn't drag me too much, and she knows that I'm a quick shopper. But at the end of the day, if golf is my thing, I do have to, yield a bit to some other things. So I love that. Half the time I'm sitting there, I've got my ESPN Plus and I've got the golf tournament, and I'm like sideways looking at it, like, viewing in the corner, like outside the store. And I'm like, take your time. I'm watching Jordan Spieth in the woods over here, like on, hole 7.
No,
Got my
I'm with you, and I will say the same thing. Andrea doesn't, she doesn't force me to go and spend an extended to, long. But I will say, at the very least, the store should have good Wi-Fi. I think.
should have good Wi-Fi. I think a drink would be fantastic.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. Sephora, Ulta, Anthropology, just beef up the Wi-Fi. Don't
Even
password protect it.
your Lululemons of the world,
Yes,
your Aloe Yogas, like someone's walking in there and trying on a million things, and you're like, oh, does this look good? And you're like, yep, looks great.
because it's always like we'll go to University Ave in Westwood, and there is no service in there at all. It's like, even, yep, there's no, and the Wi-Fi's never work, and it's like I could stay in here all day walking around following you if I can like refresh DraftKings. Like that's all I need. And it's like if I can't do that, that's when I'm gonna start getting a little like, all right, when are we gonna wrap this up?
I'm like, babe, it's the final round at the U.S. Open. Like, I got to see if Scotty Scheffler gets the career Grand Slam and whatnot. And like, yeah, like you just mentioned, the big golf tournaments now. I'll put like I'll put bets on like three of the golfers or whatever for the big tournaments, and it's the same thing. I'm like, I got to see if my golfer, gets a birdie or eagle on the next hole, all those things. So I agree with that. I like that.
Scott, this has been so much fun. It's great to meet you. I feel like we've been friends forever, but it's
I know.
first time. We will definitely get out on the golf course this summer.
Absolutely. I'll be back in May. I'll be back in May and doing a lot of New England things and getting out for a lot of rounds and pushing my content and some marketing a bit. So very, very excited for this summer and the projects that I have in store.
Excellent. Looking forward to following it. Where can people follow you?
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all Scott Atwood with 3 T's and Scott. But yeah, I'll be building up on those 4 channels pretty heavily.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you so much.
Talk soon.